Hi, and welcome to our February episode of Hingham Happenings. I'm your host, Jenny Sawerda. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this episode. The Boy Scouts held their annual Hingham Tree Drive. H-Camp sat down with local athlete Sam Venger to discuss his recent accomplishments. The South Street Gallery held a special exhibit of watercolor paintings. Local author Monica Tesler debuted her first novel, Bounders, at the Hingham Public Library. All of that coming up on this month's episode. For the past 15 years, Hingham Boy Scouts have gone around town and collected discarded Christmas trees as part of their annual Hingham Tree Drive fundraiser.
It's been a long-time tradition. I know it goes back at least 15 years in Troop 1 to pick up Christmas trees. It's a fundraiser for us. It's obviously a community service as well. My first exposure to it was when we actually started using it ourselves and putting our tree out. And I think a neighbor told us about it, and it was a great idea. It certainly saves a lot of time, and it doesn't get the car all messy or whatever. So it was just easy. We had the trees out by 8 o'clock in the morning, taped an envelope to it, or with I think a clip or something. And I never even saw the Scouts because they came and left so quick. They were like Santa Claus, kind of there for a second, grabbed the tree, and then gone again. But then when I became part of Troop 1, when my son crossed over from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, I got involved kind of, helping with the effort. And then a couple of years ago, I kind of took it over and I run it, as part of my service to the troop. Once a year, I coordinate the tree drive.
For a donation, we drive around Hingham in various donated trucks and lent trucks and pick up their trees and bring them up to the transfer station for them. It's really popular, getting more popular every single year. People love to do it. It's not very much money to take a hassle off their hands, and they love to help the Scouts.
It's a win-win. It's one of those things where everyone, if they don't have the boys pick it up, they have to bring their Christmas tree to the transfer station. And that means getting needles in your car, that means scraping your roof, that's all of that, because, Christmas trees, how beautiful they are when they come in, are not quite so beautiful when they go back out again. And so if you can just take it out of your house and put it in your driveway, and, it's not an expensive fundraiser, it's $10, and you don't have to do all that getting it to the transfer station. It is wonderful when people call in and they say, thank you so much for picking up my Christmas tree. There are so many people that not only that they don't want to get it to the transfer station, but they have a hard time. The elderly, and all that it'd just be very difficult for them to get it there. And how many times do you get to do a fundraiser and have people thank you for doing it? So it really is a win-win.
It's really the only fundraiser we do. We sell some popcorn in the fall, but this is where we raise the bulk of our money, and it goes directly to the Scouts. There's obviously no administrative fees, no salaries, everyone's a volunteer, and it goes into equipment for the troop, whether we need new tents or new stoves or repairs to the Scout house, or giving someone a scholarship to summer camp if the family can't afford it or whatever. So this is really, it goes, directly into the heart of Boy Scouting at a local level in our town to help support that. And the town is very generous and very supportive, which we obviously love.
I'll tell you, it's funny. You would think that you wouldn't have, teenage boys who, would like getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. They have to be here at 7:30. They're out half the time. We're picking up trees out of the snow and rain, and they're out there doing full days on these trucks until 3 or 4 o'clock, and they do love it. And I think it has a lot to do. Some of it has to do with that they love that when they're driving down the street and they're on these trucks and they're running out and getting the trees, that people are running up to them saying, "Can you take my tree too? Thank you so much for doing this." I think they get a real sense of satisfaction out of it.
One parent will drive a truck. Maybe there'll be a navigator with them typically to help them get around, and you don't want people looking at maps or their cell phones while they're driving. And then we have a chase car, which will generally bring the Scouts. So they roll up to an address. Everybody jumps out. The scouts run over and get the tree. They throw it in the back of the trailer or the truck, and everybody piles. It's kind of like one of those clown cars. Everyone piles out of the car, and then everyone piles back in, and they go on to the next stop on the route. And a lot of times they'll pick up trees that are, maybe scheduled for pickup tomorrow, or the people just put the tree out hoping that we'll see it. So we always get a few surprises along the way.
Got more trees today, knowing that we have heavy rain coming in tomorrow, so we'll probably pick up a lot of tomorrow's trees today. But it's better than snow. So that's the real problem when we're trying to dig the trees out of a couple feet of snow or even 6 or 8 inches of snow. They're heavy and wet.
It's really amazing because I know other Boy Scout troops are not as lucky to have that kind of relationship with the town. Hingham Troop 1 is one of the earliest Boy Scout troops in the country. It was founded in 1910, which is the same year that Boy Scouting came from England to America. And so we're one of the oldest troops, and we're so ingrained in the fabric of the town. We're really lucky to have that relationship. There's a huge amount of goodwill that is generated every year by people. I see the comments that people put on the website. Thank you so much. You've been picking up our tree for years. Really appreciate this service, and they're so generous financially. Sometimes people have 3 or 4 trees. Maybe they have 2 inside and 2 outside on their porch, and they give us nice donations to come pick it up. And even if someone just leaves a $10 bill on their tree, we're so grateful for it, because Scouting is a service-oriented activity. And it's a good thing to teach the Scouts community service from the very beginning. Thank you to the town for being so supportive of the Boy Scouts, and to remind people that this is how we train our future leaders. So if you think the town needs leaders in the future that are honest, trustworthy, have integrity, a lot of them are going to come from Boy Scouting. So thank you for your support, and thank you for everything that the town does to support Boy Scouts.
Hingham native Sam Venger recently stopped by HCAM to talk about his accomplishments on and off the football field at Carnegie Mellon University.
Sam Venger. I am a sophomore at Carnegie Mellon University. I'm a running back, and I also do some kick returns for the Tartans. Well, it all started back in youth football with the Red Raiders, and I started playing in about 2nd grade, and we were really successful and had a bunch of great coaches. Growing up, won a bunch of Super Bowls in youth, so that's when the passion really started for me, and that was a whole lot of fun. That continued on to high school with varsity football, and everything sort of gets ramped up a little bit, the speed gets brought up. That was a whole bunch of fun, and just playing for your town, playing with your buddies, there's nothing really like that. And then thankfully I was given an opportunity to play collegiately at Carnegie Mellon, which is Division III, and it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of fun, really exciting. Just like before, going from youth to high school, everything gets ramped up, bigger athletes, the guys are faster, and you got to take it on yourself to get to that next level. So it's been a lot of fun. I would say, I think it was my 3rd game. That was sort of my first time getting some real playing time, and my dad came down to the game, and I returned a few kicks for like 50 or 60 yards. So that was sort of when I started to show my promise as a player, and from there I eventually earned a starting role. I think it was the 5th game into the season as the running back, and then from there, that 5th game I had about 200 yards all-purpose on the ground. So after that I sort of solidified a role in the starting position, and then obviously this year has been we've had a lot of success. This is our 2nd year under a new offensive coordinator, so I think that sort of helped our team, just having, obviously when you start out there's going to be some growing pains, but having a year under our belt, our offense really started to click this year, and the linemen really got on the same page, and that was a huge reason for my success this year. Football was definitely a deciding factor for me as far as choosing a school. That was sort of one factor that I was definitely going to say, yes, I'm going to play college football, so let's look at schools where that'll be an option. I did look at a couple D2 schools. I applied to a lot of the Ivies, but their big thing was your size. I'm about 5'8", 185. They were like, we need a larger running back. So I went to the D2 schools and schools like Stonehill. I met with them. And then also the Division III schools, and ultimately narrowed it down to Tufts University in Cambridge and then Carnegie Mellon. And I just, like I said before, wanted to be a little bit further away from home, and Carnegie Mellon did seem like a better fit. So that's how I ended up there. One of the things my dad was saying was pick some place that you're going to be happy with regardless of whether football works out. God forbid you hurt your knee or something like that. Are you going to be happy at that school? Is that school going to provide you with tools to be successful after you graduate? And I really felt like Carnegie Mellon was a school that could do that for me. Like I said, the business program there was top of the line. So, and then on top of that, the coaches there, the head coach Rich Lackner, is really like a father figure to me, and he's someone that I wouldn't play for anybody else, and he's a really inspirational leader. And that was another huge reason for me deciding to go there. Through the first 2 games, something popped up on social media that said, oh, you're the leading yards per game through the entire country for all divisions. And my friends were sort of on me about that, and they wanted me to tweet at Leonard Fournette and Derrick Henry and stuff. But at first it was sort of just funny and a sort of like a little joke. But then we continued to have success, and we actually started to win some games and get on a little bit of a roll there. So from there it became more of a credit to our team and what our line was able to do for me. Try to play bigger than I am, and I like running between the tackles and trying to mix it up with the linebackers. But yeah, ultimately I would say my speed and my vision are keys to my success on the field. I started with more yards through our first couple of games than what we had later in the season, and we started 1-3. So it's not about how many yards I get, it's what we're able to produce totally as an offense, and obviously our defense as well. So wins are paramount. The last 2 games of our regular season against our sort of UAA, that's one of the conferences we're in, rivals, Chicago and Case Western. And they both beat us pretty badly last year. My freshman year, we struggled a bit. We were 4-6. We lost to Chicago 28-7, and Case Western actually 30-0 in our first game of the year. So we were able to get some revenge against them. We beat Chicago in the second to last week, 52-7, and then we upset Case Western, who I believe was ranked 22nd nationally at that point, 52-42 at home. So closing out the regular season with those 2 wins was probably my proudest moment as a player, and being able to be a key part of the offense. I think against Case I had my season high in carries was 39, so that was against Case Western. So trying to be a reliable part of the offense, that was something I was very proud of this season. So we started the year 1-3, and then we ended up on a 7-game win streak, which was really awesome. And we didn't really know whether we were going to make playoffs or get the opportunity to play in a bowl. We did find out that we were going to make the ECAC Legacy Bowl and play Bridgewater State, which was really awesome because playing in Western Pennsylvania, you don't usually get a chance to play schools from where you're from up here in New England. So that was fun, and it was funny, they actually had an offensive coordinator who was a gym teacher of mine in like middle school. So that was an interesting opportunity, and we got to travel up here, and we played at Central Connecticut State College, which was a really big stadium, which was nice, and just a really different, unique experience. And obviously the game went well. We were able to beat them 48-13. So it was a great way to send off our seniors with a win, and it was a great way for us to end the season. My own goals sort of apply to the team in itself, and I think what we're all aiming for is a PAC championship, which is the other conference that we're in, and ultimately a playoff bid, because I know this year we all felt as though we could have gone into the playoffs and really made some noise. What we're going to strive to do is just model ourselves after the team this year and the way we were able to finish, the leadership that we had there. A lot of those guys are returning. One of my good friends, Brian Corey's our star defensive end, and he received a lot of personal accolades, and he's certainly going to be a guy that I'm going to be working with to sort of try to lead the team. I don't want to try to overstep my boundary. I am going to be a junior. I'm not going to try to be a junior captain in any way, but I will try to do my best to lead and not overstep my boundary as a junior. But at the same time, I will try to be vocal and I will try to push guys to be better. As a high school student going through middle school, sort of growing up, for me at least, a lot of my identity was wrapped up in athletics, and you're thinking, oh, this is like all I really have to focus on. But unfortunately, when you're an adult, professional sports isn't an option for a lot of people. So obviously, being a student and being committed to academics is going to open a lot of doors as far as careers, and that's what's ultimately important, because however wrapped up in athletics you are, sort of through adolescence is ultimately not going to be what's important. It's going to be whatever professional career you decide to go into, and that's going to be a result of how committed you were to academics. When I got to high school, I sort of realized that I wasn't going to be a 6-foot bruising running back, so I figured academics would be a huge key as far as getting into a good college and having the opportunity to play collegiately. So I sort of realized pretty soon, once I had gotten into Hingham High, that academics was going to be really important as far as football. And then before that, just as a product of my parents raising me to be who I am, academics has always been a really important thing for me. My mom's a teacher, and she sort of instilled in me the importance of learning, and my dad's a big reader, and he is also sort of in that same boat. So learning and academics was and has always been really important for me. I loved my friends here growing up. The schools are a great outlet to learn and be challenged with your friends in the classroom, and then also on the sports fields. Our youth sports here are pretty challenging, and I think they have a lot of success. So that was sort of where a lot of our bond started. And then from there, going on to high school, like I said, everything is sort of ramped up. Academically, it's more challenging. But varsity sports are a great opportunity, like I said before, to play for your town and to play with your friends for your town. So it's a special opportunity. And definitely take advantage of that and cherish all the moments that you have playing with Hingham on the front of your jersey. It's a privilege to play for your town, and just enjoy every moment of it that you can, because it goes by way too fast.
Located near downtown Hingham, the South Street Gallery offers locals a chance to admire beautiful works of art in their own backyard. One of the exhibits highlighted watercolor paintings by Mary Smith.
Today we have an exhibition of watercolor paintings by Mary Smith from Quincy.
This gallery is showing a series of paintings that I've done over the last 5 years or so. Some of them are travel paintings. I paint when I go to Europe or just other places, not around where I live. And then some of them are in my neighborhood. Some of them are across the street from my house. Some of them are from photographs. So it's a mixture of things. I've been painting since I was 5 years old. I started out using pencils with a board in my bed. When I was 5, I was supposed to be taking a nap. But I got into painting probably 5 or 6 years old, and I've been studying it off and on my whole life. And I think my medium now is 90% watercolor, although I've done pastel, and I am interested in doing more pastel.
I would say about once a month we change the exhibitions, but that's the front of the gallery. The second half shows paintings by many other different artists that we represent. So the front of the gallery changes frequently. I would say about once a month.
I think every artist thinks their paintings are unique, I think every artist, and I'm speaking about all of us, not just me, when we paint something, we're drawn to it. And when we see something that we want to paint, we want to be able to express our translation of what we see with the hopes that people, when they looked at it, would see something that they wouldn't normally recognize. They might walk past something, they might never see it. And they'll see a painting and they'll go, oh, I know where that is. Oh, I never saw it that time of day, or I never thought of it that way. And I also think that paintings are a form of handwriting, and that's why we sometimes can recognize painters no matter what they paint. You can see their own personal style show through. Sometimes I'm traveling, I always draw. Sometimes I paint plein air, which is what a lot of these paintings, other people's paintings and mine, meaning we paint outside, we sit outside and paint outside. Sometimes I'll take a photograph and draw, and then I'll paint in my studio. And the difference is the plein air paintings are quicker, just a quick response to a location, where a studio painting is more thought out. They're different, but I think the effect is the same. You're trying to convey a sense of having seen something that maybe other people haven't noticed.
South Street Gallery is a fine art gallery that offers fine art and picture framing, and it's been here exactly for 13 years. It opened in winter of 2002. We are unique because I don't think there is a gallery like us on the South Shore of Boston, and in general I would say there's a handful of them like this in New England. We concentrate on plein air painting and plein air painters, which means artists that go out there to the location and paint on the spot out in nature. So I think that's the unique reason, and we don't represent only local artists, but in general New England. When it opened in winter of 2002, it was half gallery and half Hingham upholstery. This building was the home of an upholstery business for over 40 years. So many people do know this place as that business. So the owners decided to open an art gallery because it was their hobby to paint and to showcase paintings of their artists' friends. But the Hingham upholstery business slowly slowed down. And I would say 2 years after South Street Gallery opened, Hingham upholstery closed.
I think it's really important to me for people to look at the work, maybe have a personal response to it, maybe have a feeling that I have when I go and I look at work and I think, oh, now that I've seen this, I'll never look at this the same way again. And I think one of the paintings that makes me think that way is one is called Lobster's a Specialty, which I think is a kind of an odd one. And it's a painting of a Coke machine in the middle of a parking lot. And it was very iconic to me. It was very mesmerizing. I saw it, it was dusk, and everything else was dark, and the Coke machine was glowing, and the asphalt was pink. And I thought, oh, I have to do this. So that's in the show, and I think that's something that everybody else would just walk past.
Don't be scared to come in and look around. I won't ask questions that will intimidate people. The doors are always open.
The Hingham Public Library hosted a novel launch party for local author Monica Tessler. Her book, Bounders, written for middle school children, is filled with excitement, adventure, and imagination.
at the Hingham Public Library, and we're celebrating the Monica Tessler's debut book, The Bounders. Well, it's a Hingham author, Hingham Library, so to me that was really nice to be able to get the community out for it. So, we contacted the schools and we put in the paper, and we got a great turnout for her. So we're very pleased, and as I'm sure she is too. She did a lot of work herself. She had posters made, she had bookmarks made. So it's just fun because we have so many young people here tonight. When you look at the signing line, it's filled with kids. Well, I think it helps, it makes the connection to literature all that more real. Because when kids get to meet an author, it's just not some ethereal concept. It makes it more concrete. They get to meet the author, talk to the author, learn about how she wrote the book, why she wrote the book. So, to me, it's just a win-win situation for everybody. Because it cements the idea of the library as a place for reading, for meeting people, for collaborating, working with others, kind of all the things that Monica put in her book, friendship, teamwork, and being tolerant. It's about 5 kids, and as Monica mentioned in her talk, they're different. They're kids they're not the popular kids. They all have little quirks to their personality, and they were specifically selected for their quirkiness. And they are sent to this space station, but they've had to keep this secret all of their lives. So now they're of an age, I think they're 12. I can't remember. I think they're 12, and kids from all over the world are coming to be this Earth Force team. So they fly up into space and they become part of it. They land on the space station where they'll be trained. So the kids are, it's funny. They have all their differences. When they first get together, they're put in this pod of 5 kids, and they're not sure that they're going to work together. Some of them are, their differences are what separates them, but in the end, what unites them. So and there's aliens in it. It's funny. It's just a fun book. Space, adventure, who doesn't like that? Because I think it teaches tolerance. When you see somebody do something, or they're not quite the way I am or the way you are, we may not understand them, but they're people just like we're people. And I think that's really the important message, that we're all basically the same, we just look and say things differently. Well, I'm hoping that the kids will all come back. I hope they'll see what a great place the library is. I hope they get a chance to go up and see the children's room. We've got a lot of great books up there. We've got great series. We've got great recommendations. So as a librarian, I hope to see them all back. To me, I'm just really happy to see all of these young people here tonight for the celebration.
Bounders is available for purchase at local bookstores as well as at the Hingham Public Library. That's all for this month. Tune in next time for another exciting episode of Hingham Happenings. If you have any suggestions for a future episode, please email us at hinghamhappenings@hinghammedia.org. Thanks so much for watching.